Whoa,
We are
something scared me.
okay, what's that loud noise coming through?
Whoa,
Yeah,
something
we
scared
got
me.
something going on here. Okay.
What was that, dude? Did you hear that?
That was crazy as fuck.
Oh, love that.
That was awesome.
That was just our conversation we just had.
Yeah, that's. I think we are just about ready to go. I just need, if there is anybody in the chat room, to let me know you're seeing this.
Let's do it.
Right now, I don't think there is anybody in there, but it looks like we're live.
What?
Okay. We are live, and we're going to be able to go here in just a second. Let me hit this one.
Okay.
Okay, that's working.
Yeah.
Okay. Get ready, everybody. That includes you, Tracy.
What
Gotcha.
about me, asshole?
Nobody likes you. Well-known
I
fact.
do.
No, you don't.
Oh, look, Operation Adventure's in there.
But
Okay, get ready.
What?
no.
If you are sensitive
Yeah.
to graphic content or images, you should turn off this program now. No one should view this on a full stomach. The very picture of Drew that we show is known to cause negative effects on all that see it. I will pray for your soul.
Because I'm ugly and fat.
Yes,
Oh,
we know.
stop that, Drew.
East Coast Horror Brew.
Way to bring it down. Way to bring it down.
They're here.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
East Coast Horror Brew presents Dead Art Movie Reviews.
Salutations and mutilations, you're listening to East Coast Horror Group presents Dead On Movie Reviews. Tonight, we bring you the Faculty of Fear like we do every select Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on eastcoasthorrorgroup.com. You can join our live chat at that time by clicking on live shows and the link on eastcoasthorrorgroup.com, the website. I'm your host, Tim Kretschmann, coming to you from the east coast of Lake Michigan. It is my honor to introduce the Faculty of Fear panel presenting tonight's lectures. We start with our friend... Oh, yeah. Yep, that didn't work. Oh, my goodness. There she is. There's Tracy.
Hi.
And Tracy has been in over 11 films, including a film that you can now see everywhere this year, Family Possessions. Now she's working on A Nun's Curse. She is a great friend of the show and has had numerous appearances here. It's a thrill to have her on the show again with us tonight. We are so happy to introduce Tracey DeLeon to all of our listeners. Hello, Tracy.
Hey, guys. Hope you all are doing well. Thanks for
Fantastic.
having me.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the video feed working over by you because you are absolutely delightful tonight, and we're glad to have you on. All right,
Thanks.
now going to the opposite extreme, we go to our gingerific co-host that prefers to go by the name Little Baby Drew Face Poos Seidler.
I don't prefer that,
It's
actually.
Drew. Hi, Drew.
Hi, Tim. How are you? It's very nice to be here, but I don't like you.
I know. That's okay. I'm learning to get through it. And last and least, we have the face of Jace, a sincere zombie apologist. It's the man of two voices. He's Coach Michael Exler, the Dean of Students.
Howdy, Tim. How are you?
Fantastic. So everybody keep your ass in your seat, sharpen your pencil, and let's get unruly with the Faculty of Fear. It seems like it's been forever since we did our last show.
It has been.
It has been a very long time, and we're really glad to have you back, Tracey, because these guys behave much better when you're on the show.
I'm rusty as
Good, I'm
fuck.
glad they do.
Should we start with Tracey?
Bring something good.
Let's start with Tracey.
Okay.
Tracey. What?
Woohoo!
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Tracy, what have you been watching?
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Okay, now that
And
came
it's
out
directed
in
by Eli Craig, and it stars Tyler Levine, Alan.
Tudyk.
Yes, thank you so much, and Katrina Bowden.
Okay, and
I like it.
I will tell you, I love Tyler Labine. He was in a TV show called Reaper that I was a big fan of. So I was very excited when this movie came out. So tell Tracy, did you just discover this now, or was this a rewatch for you?
I actually, my daughter found it for me. She's like, watch this. So I watched it, and it was great. I actually fell in love with not only Tyler, but I've liked Alan for a really long time. I've always admired his work. So seeing him with Tyler, that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed watching it. She did a good job of picking it for me.
Fantastic. Now, for those that are not familiar with the movie, which I think of our viewers, a lot of them have seen this already, but why don't you do a quick synopsis of what this movie is all about?
Okay, so these two guys who are living in the hills of West Virginia bought a cabin as a retreat or, a vacation home to fish and whatnot. And these college students kind of interrupt that in a way that's not. I don't want to ruin it. This was one of those ones that if you talk too much about it, you'll ruin it, and you really can't. You know what I mean?
It's 8 years old. We can talk about
They
it.
just run into each other. Their paths cross, and it's just one of those things that you just have to watch. I can't. I don't know. Help me out. Like, it's really good
Well,
how they've set this up.
It's
So
a movie
from
where
the side of
they
the killers.
yeah, they kind of set you up to think one thing's going to happen, and it becomes the absolute opposite, and that's the comedy.
Yes.
But I think what I liked about the movie is they didn't make, Tucker and Dale are complete hayseeds. That is the character that they're playing. They're basically hillbillies. But they didn't make them stupid. They just made them, unsophisticated, I guess, for want of a better word. And
Well, they were farmers. That's
Right.
That's typical look of what farmers look like. I mean, I get it. I was kind of raised near a lot of farms, so I mean, I've seen a lot of that. So I mean, I get that part. They did excellent on that part. That part they did fine, portraying them as just typical looking farmer guys.
right, it's just now. Would you consider this more a comedy or a horror film?
I think it's both.
See, I think it's a comedy that has horror elements that it's drawing into it, but I think it's primarily a comedy.
Well, it still has horror elements, which makes it a horror film, right?
Yeah, it certainly has some pretty gory effects throughout the film. Drew, what are you thinking, Drew?
I love it.
The movie's great. I mean,
I
it's
love it.
one of those jewels that gets the distribution of comedy and horror right on the nose, fulfilling both of those fans. I mean, it's an instant classic in my book. I mean, if anybody wants to know a horror comedy, it's either Shaun of the Dead or this. Best two examples I can think of.
Are you doing your best impression of Kylo Ren right now?
Yeah. What's going on?
Am I? I can.
Yeah, your microphone, you sounded like you had become full on evil. I'm just saying.
Well, that's true, but
Yeah.
Dale and Tucker were fighting.
There we go. That's better.
It's good.
Definitely
It's a great
cult
movie.
classic.
If people who don't know, the female lead was the super hot intern in the early seasons of 30 Rock, like the uncomfortably attractive one.
Oh.
That's the only other place that I'd seen her.
What does uncomfortably attractive mean?
It means like so attractive that you kind of get like sweaty and like
Whoa.
feel faint. You feel faint whenever people like you've seen people like that, right? We're like, wow, she's so attractive that I almost had a stroke.
Yeah.
I literally have that reaction every time I look in the mirror. I just got this in from. Yeah, you're welcome. This is in from the chat room. Chilean Simmons, who plays Chloe, which is the ditzy blonde in the movie, was also the first on-screen victim of Pennywise in the original It miniseries.
Stop it!
I had no idea. That's a good little piece of trivia. Be ready at the next pub that has a trivia event. That's going to be a question. So
there you go.
That's fantastic. I love this movie. I first saw it when it came out. We had just started a previous iteration of this show, and somehow they had sent me a key to see this movie online when it was first coming out. And I liked it so much that when it hit the theaters, the movie house, I went out and saw it again because I just really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. It did get a theatrical release, chat room. It did get out there, but it was only out for about a week or two, and that was about it.
I think worldwide it grossed over 4 million. I think it was like 4.22 million worldwide. I mean, it didn't do good initially, but in the long run, it did really well.
Most of it was on demand. Most of it, and I think it's still on Netflix. I can't keep track. But
it is.
I think it's one of those, Netflix has a lot of movies that come on and off. I think this is one of those movies that just stays on.
I hope so, because I'll watch it again because it was hilarious and I loved it.
Yeah, it's a great flick and it's worth the time if people haven't seen it. But that means we have to do this. It is time to get the grade for Tucker and Dale versus Evil. So, what do you grade this?
So I'm going to give it an A-.
A-.
Yes.
And there it is, an A- for our first movie.
If I could just take a minute, Tim, and welcome Ashley K. Luker to A Nun's Curse. She just was cast. And Mr. Tommy Faircloth and the guys at Horse Creek Productions announced that tonight. So welcome, AK.
Oh, congratulations. Yay! Congratulations. Glad she's listening. So,
welcome.
Tucker and Dale in A-. People should go out and see this immediately if they haven't seen it. Is that your advice?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. If you're looking for a good little movie to watch alone that's comedic and horror, this is the one to do.
I think this is a movie that is equally fun watching it alone or watching it with a group. I think it's strong enough that it actually pulls you in. Where a lot of horror movies, I feel, and a lot of comedies, I'd almost rather watch it alone so I can enjoy it. This one, I think is good either way. It's really a solid flick. All right.
Yes.
So now we come to our next panelist. He prefers to be called Little Baby Drew Face Poos Poos Seidler. Drew, what have you been watching?
I do not prefer that, just to get that on the record again.
Call him the Poos Poos.
I'm pretty certain that is what you asked before the show. You begged me
I
to
heard
make
him.
sure. Yeah, I know. You begged me to make sure that I said that over and over today so that you could get, as you called it, your personal brand out. I thought it was a little douchey, but I am glad you got that out there. So please tell us now, tell us, dear friend, about the movie that you saw because I never heard of this thing before.
Well, I was digging around on some of the forum boards and subreddits and stuff, and came across a thread about the goriest and most kind of fucked up movies you've ever seen. And me seeking those films out on a regular basis, came across one I'd never heard of before called Naked Blood. It's a 1996 Japanese film from director Hayayasu Sato and writer Takeshi Watari.
I believe
So-
that's pronounced Yoshi, and he's a dinosaur.
You're just making fun of Japanese people now.
Some guy in Gia.
And that was Mike Exler, everyone. Send your hate mail to Mike at EastCoastHorrorGroup.com.
That was not me.
I like magical dongs.
Mr. Miyagi-san.
I have to say, I did find a couple trailers and things, and we're showing it on the live feed. Yeah, this might be a little disturbing.
So I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest, although it had a runtime of 75 minutes. So I think it gets across exactly what it wants to get across. And there is actually a story that's well thought out, I thought, and well presented. It is a young man who is going through school, through medicine, school for a doctor, I guess that's called, Drew. Anyway.
Oh my
And
gosh.
School of Medicine.
Hello.
And what he comes up with is a pain medication that, rather than feeling pain, instead it makes your brain feel pleasure. And
Jeez.
on the surface, that sounds great. That sounds like a breakthrough in modern medicine, but it has some side effects, let's say. The fact that people figure this out and just want to hurt themselves over and over and over and over and over and over again. And that's where the gore comes in. I'll get to some of the other story first because it's actually kind of interesting. His mother is a physician who is experimenting with contraception, and in order to experiment with his own drug, he injects it into the actual contraception medicine, which she then distributes to 3 teenage Japanese girls. So they unknowingly ingest this substance. There's different layers to it. One layer I could see would be commentary on the opioid epidemic as it goes through. I mean, I don't know exactly what its impact was in Japan, but I could definitely see that being a layer to it. Another is the 3 girls that are being experimented on. One is super vain, one is gluttonous, and the other girl, I would say the female lead, is part cactus.
What?
Yeah, she's part cactus.
Okay.
It's Japanese.
All
now,
right.
you will.
I'm going with it. Okay.
She's an insomniac, and in order to cure her insomnia, she puts on, I just want to say, it looks like VR goggles attached to a cactus that also has VR goggles. And they somehow become one.
Makes sense.
That was interesting. So, I mean, let's get to the gore part of it, I guess. So, while piercing her ears, the vain experimentee, I guess, finds that this is, feels great. So, as the story goes along, and while you're learning about Cactus Girl and all this kind of stuff, the backstory with the young man, with the young doctor, you eventually come back to her, and she's pierced everything, and piercing her eyeballs, and her hands, putting ice picks through herself, and It's difficult to watch. I'll be honest with you. They do a pretty good job for as low budget as it is. The other girl, the glutton, is making squid tempura. Gets burnt with grease, and then thinks, "Ooh, that felt good. Let me put some more batter on my hand, and I'm going to actually batter and fry my hand and eat it off." So that was another part of that. And then she proceeds to sit on the dining room table, cut bits of herself off, specifically in her genitals, and eat that on camera, and nipples.
And then the fryer?
No, she just cuts it off with a knife and fork and eats it.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Drew,
Drew, would you characterize this as the feel-good movie of the year?
I would say it's right up there with Ready Player One. It's the feel.
It's like up there with Wonder and yeah.
And whatever Adam Sandler makes this year. It's probably better.
Honest to God, I'm watching these, little clips that I had found, and it's nauseating. It's nauseating. Yeah. How long is this movie? How much do you have to endure?
Like I said, it was only 75 minutes long.
Okay.
So that wasn't too bad.
It's not too bad.
Well, that's, I think, a good thing, because the effects appear to be very, pretty realistic, not too over the top. Though I say that as they show a sequence of blood just spraying up on this one girl. But
that's the girl who was part cactus.
Oh, well, how come I didn't notice that? Shouldn't she have little needles coming out of her or something?
And that's the doctor's mom. That's after she killed her. They try to do this twist at the end where this girl is the killer that's on the screen, and I didn't really get it. I think they just wanted to shoot some more fucked up scenes. Did you just spoil it? Did you just spoil? It's not really a spoiler because it doesn't mean anything. It's just it's kind of dumb at the end. But otherwise, I thought that it was well written. It seems like they rushed it at the end. They just wanted to get some more gore in there, and that's how they shoehorned it in there. But otherwise, it's hard to say how bad it was as far as acting because it's subtitled. So it's hard to see if they delivered lines properly. But I got everything that I thought that they were trying to convey.
Wait a minute, Drew. With all the movies you've seen that are Japanese, you don't speak Japanese yet?
Konnichiwa.
There you go.
Domo arigato.
Mr. Roboto.
This is Mr. Roboto. Mr. Roboto. No.
Kojima-san. Wow. Samurai. I'm just being racist. It sounds like. Stop that.
Yeah, I've spent the last 5 months reading Shogun. So, yeah. Wow. Okay. Is it time to grade this yet, or is there?
Yeah, there isn't a whole lot more to talk about.
Okay, go ahead. We got a little time yet.
I said there really isn't a whole lot more to talk about.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll get to it. Let me hit the 3 buttons at once. There we go. What is it that you grade? What the heck is this one again?
Naked Blood.
Yeah, that's the one. What do you grade?
I expected it to just be kind of a guinea pig movie where they just torture someone and then they die. But I did get more than that, so I was surprised by that. It's a little bit of story and stuff. It wasn't awful. I'll give it a C-.
A C-.
If you dig gore and you dig some weird Japanese undertones, check it out. If you don't like gore, definitely don't watch it because it is gory and they eat themselves.
Yikes! Wow. All right. Well, it's time to continue on our quest. Mike, what have you been watching?
Well, Tim.
Porn.
Other than porn, Tim, I decided to watch
more porn.
Then after that, I watched the 1993 film Dark Universe.
Dark Universe, and you saw it on Laserdisc.
I did.
You hipster fuck.
I find it very amusing Because I think it was shot on Super 8, wasn't it?
I have no idea. If
It was
was
actually
or
one of those things where you look into it and you spin it real fast, and that's how you watch it. You know what I'm talking about? Like
No.
That's a
the
kinescope.
Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
a kinescope.
Nickelodeon?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's not what a kinescope is. I just said that with authority, and you believed me. All right.
They have those
Mike,
at
tell us
Kennywood.
about Dark Universe. Now, was Tom Cruise in this at all? Because, you know, he's very involved in the Dark Universe.
Nope, he was not in this movie.
Okay.
Is that Scientology?
No,
Yeah.
Dark Universe was what Universal was trying to start. The Dark Universe with the Mummy, and then it kind of sputtered, and nobody knows if it's going to continue or not.
Well, these clips look awesome.
This looks like a
like
real
fun.
B movie. Go ahead, Mike. Tell us what this is even about, because I can't tell from the trailer.
So,
And I watched it with the sound on, and I couldn't figure it out.
the
So, go ahead.
the main star of the film is Joe Estevez, which is obviously the uncle to Emilio and Charlie Sheen.
Whoa.
So he just looks like an older Emilio Estevez to me. But the sidebar on Emilio Estevez going to Mighty Ducks. Did you see what the goalie looks like now? The kid goalie.
Oh God, yes, that's horrible.
Yikes! Awful.
Oh,
Was that the
Sad.
knuckle puck guy? Or was that just a fat guy?
The fat guy who's now like the meth guy.
Oh, he got skinny at least, though, huh?
Down to the bone. So back to Dark Universe, 1993.
yes, please.
Not some Tom Cruise nonsense.
Yes.
On its way back to Earth, the
Talk about
space
Mighty
shuttle,
Ducks.
the space shuttle Nautilus passes through a cloud of alien spores, causing its solo occupant astronaut Steve Thomas to transform into a bloodthirsty monster. The shuttle crashes into a swampy region of Central Florida, creating a situation which threatens contagion and/or death to all who encounter the shuttle or its mutilated pilot. So that's the core story that we're dealing with here. We're dealing with
I was hoping you would explain the story a little, and I'm more confused after that that description than I was before.
it makes sense when you watch the film. It all comes together at the end of the film. But in all seriousness, this film, in all hopes, is almost like an ode to the cheesy sci-fi films of yesteryear. If not, it was painful to watch. I watched it as an homage to that kind of shit, and it was tolerable. But other than that, I mean, just think of every shot from Alien, like with Sigourney Weaver up next to the xenomorph, and the thing coming out of its mouth and everything, and that iconic shot. Well, they did that a lot, but this is with some like rubber stupid like monster.
Yeah.
And this person, and it's awful. It's a blatant rip off, and it's not done well at all. But yeah, that's basically the extent of it. This Joe Estevez works for the government. They need to go find this fucking thing and see what happened to the pilot, and they find the pilot, and it's this thing that you see, I'm sure, going across on the screen.
Yeah.
It looks like a dinosaur type thing, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe Godzilla-ish.
Like an alien creature.
Yeah. So, that thing's roaming around Central Florida, looking for blood, and there's spores everywhere. I mean, it's just spores are falling off of it.
Are there any s'mores?
It's sporific.
Sporific.
So are the spores like their offspring?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, well, the spore is just something that I think it's part of like a collective, because the spore takes over the body, and then more spores fall off of it, so it just takes over the body, and could just make an army, if you will. But they were trying to kill the spores as they were trying to fight this monster, and the fight scenes were just as bad as you would think with a monster that looks like that. Just very low budget.
I don't know how you can say that. This looks fantastic. It also really feels like 1993 because I saw a couple morphing sequences right in the trailer. This was right when, that morph software became popular. I was like, oh, okay, this has got to be early 90s. And sure enough, it was 93 when I looked it up.
Yeah, so just to make you feel old, I was 13 when this came out.
I hate you so much.
Drew was like 7.
Yeah, something like it.
I have a picture of Drew when he was 7.
I think you probably do. It's a good one. I just wonder which one it is.
You know what? We don't want to scare the viewers any more than we have to here. This is why we're so popular on iTunes, is because nobody wants to watch this. But
What do you mean?
you know what I mean. I think you know what I mean.
I'm beautiful.
You keep.
So I wanted to say another thing about this film is everybody was a Morris the Explainer.
Oh, really? Oh, I love
Like,
those.
It was definitely, those like 50s sci-fi movies where,
Yes.
they had that one guy that was the Morris of the group. But this one, everybody was. They would say something and then go into this long monologue explaining exactly
what's
what
going
that meant.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
That usually means they can't show anything, because it's cheap. I'll tell you, the one movie I love Morris the Explainer scenes. I'm like, I love yelling out Morris and stuff whenever I see it at home. And the movie that has the most of this, and it's not a horror movie. Well, it depends on your perception. Check out Super Mario Brothers. It's available on YouTube. You don't even have to pay for this thing. Watch like any 10-minute sequence. There'll be like 15 people trying to explain what's going on screen because it's so nuts. It makes no sense. They're constantly having people throw exposition in. It's amazing. But usually, like you say, the Morris the Explainer is like they hire Vincent D'Onofrio for one day. And, Roger Corman, he made a lot of his movies where he would hire a name actor for one day. They would do the Morris the Explainer bit, over having a phone conversation with somebody, and then they would put that name actor on the cover of the movie. So, but there were no name actors on this other than Estevez, right? And Estevez really isn't. See, I'm watching these videos, and I went through. I can't tell you how many pictures of this stupid thing. I can't figure out which one is Estevez. That you said, oh, this is like Estevez's older uncle or whatever.
Yeah. He's the main character of the story.
Okay.
He's the little old guy that's running around.
I will say there is some. I don't see this often, but on the trailer for this thing there was nudity, and that doesn't happen too often. And it seemed like pretty good nudity going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan and connoisseur.
They don't shy away from the nudity in this film, so if that's what you're looking for in a horror film, this one definitely has it for you.
Well, that's the best part of the laser disc because you don't burn out the videotape that way with the pausing. So
You don't.
it's just a thing.
What do you mean?
We'll explain it to you later, Drew. Okay, is that about it, or do you have some more?
No, that's about it. I was just thinking, if you dig like the 50s sci-fi films, you might dig this as an homage. I never know what to say. It's like
Homage. Homage.
Is it Boton?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
So what would you give this?
I mean, it's a competent C. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was what it was, and maybe someone would appreciate it. I don't know. It's just not really my cup of tea. But
Maybe
I didn't
somebody will appreciate it.
I didn't find myself hating it.
But it wasn't a comedy, right? They were doing this straight,
Oh, it
wasn't
was, yeah,
trying to be.
completely straight faced, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember there was one I saw that was like a 1950s comedy making fun of the old horror movies. It was like the Skull of Canaderavia or something like that, and it was it was funny, but it wasn't nearly funny enough that you're like, okay, you can make fun of these movies. You know, you almost have to have Airplane, a really really funny movie, if you're gonna parody something. Otherwise, don't bother. You know. But it sounds good. I'll have to spend tons of money on this and see it in Laserdisc quality. Okay, I really feel like getting that full 1080p is going to make a big difference.
Like that.
What happened
Are
to
you
the
there?
mic?
Hello, are you there?
Hello.
All right. We're going to
Can you-
move on then. And unfortunately, it's down to me. And I don't have anything good to report coming up here. I don't even know how I'm going to report
Is this another shark film, Tim? Are you doing a shark movie?
I am. It
Oh.
is the incredibly. It's amazing. It's amazing. It is Cruel Jaws from 1995. This movie actually exists. Some people have called it Jaws 5. You are seeing actual sequences from the film if you're watching a live feed. It is really bad. And here's the thing. This movie, I think, proves that copyright laws in America are not strong enough, because some of the movies it steals from, first of all, any Shark Week documentary was definitely stolen from for the making of this film. I saw
Was
sequences.
Shark Week even available back then, Tim?
This was 1995. Shark Week was already going for probably 10 years at this point.
Oh, Lord.
It stole scenes that I recognized from Jaws 1, Jaws 2, The Last Shark, and some basic stock footage. But here's the best part. So they're already stealing the stock footage, right? So when they decide to do the soundtrack, guess what movie soundtrack they use? Go ahead, guess.
Jaws.
No. They use Superman. The theme from Superman over and over in this thing. And I'm like, wait a minute. If you're going to steal all this stuff anyway, why not steal the most iconic, the best part of the movie, arguably? They use the Superman theme. I'm like, this is crazy. Now, what I will say is what's interesting about this movie is their ability to cut together all this stock footage and crap and actually put together sequences that are understandable. One of the things they did, now that's a shot from Jaws 2, by the way. One of the things that they did is they couldn't afford having barrels. So what they did is they shot it and they're pulling balloons behind the shark to do kind of the barrel thing. What else did they do? They basically took the plot of the original Jaws and they changed the mayor. He had real mob ties in this version, which is more like the movie. But the Captain Quint character, and I cannot make this up, the Captain Quint character has a daughter. He runs the local aquarium, that has like seal and dolphin shows and that sort of thing.
What about donkey shows?
And get this, looks stunningly like a young Hulk Hogan. I'm not making this up. Here, let me move to the images. So maybe I think I got a picture of him that you'll see. So they like mishmashed Jaws 1 and Jaws 2 insofar that at one point, and it's like it's stunning because they used so much stuff that was copyright and they would get in trouble for. But then they did little things to try to make it just a little bit different. So instead of you're going to need a bigger boat, it was this boat is not big enough. There's a couple scenes where they just straight out stole dialogue from Jaws 1 or Jaws 2 and just threw it in there as if it was their own. And I'm sitting there just flabbergasted that somebody would do that and not get it even close. It's almost like this movie was an experiment to see what would Jaws come out like if we hired nothing but actors that couldn't act, had effects that were all stolen from other films, and we wrote a script while being high on peyote. It was like an experiment to that. How many laws could we break, copyright laws, with this movie? And it really, you kind of watch it and you go, holy crap, I can't believe I'm watching this thing. And it was painful. It was very painful, particularly for a Jaws fan like me. Very, very difficult for me to sit through this thing. Surprisingly, some of the scenes actually worked, where you're like, wow, they actually got that to happen. Most of the time when it happened, I suspected that they were stealing stuff from another movie. The one that you're seeing the most of in these images particularly is called The Last Shark, and was made in, I think the mid-'80s. And it has terrible, there's the Hulk Hogan looking dude. It has terrible effects because the shark always comes out in exactly the look that was in the Jaws poster. I mean, snout up and mouth there. It like almost like moved around like a Lego piece, or that picture of a shark steps on a Lego, where the shark's snout is out. Like that shot right there. That's what The Last Shark is. It's just one sequence like that after another. But some of the scenes actually were kind of interesting. But boy, terrible movie. No one should see this under any circumstances. Even out of curiosity, not a good call. You should run away from this film. And I am going to go directly to the grade because I really can't stand talking about this too much. And we're going to give this a flat-on F. It's, I probably would have given it a D if it didn't just steal everything. It didn't even pretend to make anything unique. And, you were talking about a ripoff, Mike. I think in that one, at least they were shooting their own stuff. This thing, they were just taking other movies, and I would equate it most to, if you go on YouTube, there's a lot of fan-made trailers out there. There actually is a trailer out there for Jaws 5, which has got nothing to do with Jaws, and they basically stole shots from the first two Jaws movies, Deep Blue Sea, a bunch of different films, and actually it's a pretty damn good trailer. This is the same idea, just stealing a lot of shots from other movies. Unfortunately, when they put this together and they spread it out over, I think it's about a 90-minute filma. There's the Hulk Hogan looking dude. It was painful. It was truly painful to have to watch. And I don't think I'm going to be doing that to myself anymore. When one's this bad, I think I need to walk away. It was a real stretch. And they didn't even improve it by putting in some nudity or something. It was like, yeah, we're going to do this. At one point, I actually thought, well, maybe this was a TV movie somewhere because it was shot so cheap. But they were swearing so often, and the violence, when the violence did happen, it was pretty serious. I don't know. It was rough. It was very difficult to watch. All I'm saying is I can't wait for the Meg to come out this weekend and see if we're finally going to get a decent shark horror movie made once again, because it's been a while. It's been a stretch.
You let me know how that goes, Tim, because I ain't going to see that. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I'm gonna be going. Hopefully, opening night. I have a particular screen in town that I want to catch. Oh, by the way, because I hate this movie so much, it is out on YouTube. You can watch the entire damn thing on YouTube. I'm gonna put that link in the show notes. Since they stole this from everybody else, I don't feel bad about it at all.
They got sued for that, Tim.
What?
They got sued for that.
Oh yeah, they got sued a number of times. By varying people. And you know what? I think if the movie would have been decent, I wouldn't have been so vehemently opposed to it. But this movie is just awful. It's just awful, and it's like it kind of goes in its own direction once in a while, and then you see it just flat out steal an entire sequence. And like, what are you doing? You could have put this much creativity in there. No, it did not. So yeah, it's a very hard viewing experience. Okay, so we are at the end of the show. It's time to talk about our websites, and we're actually going to start this time with our guest. If I can hit the right shot. No, I didn't. Hold on. There we go. Tracey, why don't you tell us about your website and what you've been doing?
Okay, so it's www.tracydeleon.com, and I actually just got finished filming a short film this past weekend called The Farmhand, and of course I'm still working on A Nun's Curse, which is supposed to film sometime this fall, so you guys just keep up to date on all those things, either on my website, which is slowly getting there, it's still under construction, so just be patient with me. Just been really busy lately, guys, so patience.
Fantastic. And we'll be linking to that in the show notes. And then, Mike, what have we got going on the main website, eastcoasthorrorgroup.com?
We have a ton of articles from Adam, so go check those out. And we also have the Katie Featherston panel from whatever fucking city it was on there, so you can go and check that out. Normal activity. So
you don't remember what city you shot in?
Dude, Charlotte and Louisville are just running together. Or not Louisville, fuck, dude.
I was
Charlotte
about to
and
tell you Louisville didn't happen, but
Indianapolis, that's it. They're running together, and one of them, she was there. I was there. I saw it on the screen.
That happens when you get to be a certain age. that happens.
You would know.
Drew, where can people find our t-shirts?
You can find them at fastcustomshirts.com.
Fantastic, and people can pick those up. Mike, is that other show still going on that you were doing?
Yeah, it's waiting for its creator to do something.
Oh, okay. So be sure to tune into
that you?
Otherworldly Culture Radio when it comes back. It's on a brief hiatus, and I'm actually bummed because I like that show quite a bit. So I'm hoping we get some new programs in the near future. All right, fantastic. We're actually ending a little bit early, but I could not talk about Cruel Jaws that long, so I couldn't stretch it that far. It was painful enough. Want to thank everybody.
That's what she said.
God almighty. Want to thank everybody that was in the chat room. Really want to thank Tracey for coming out again. She's a good sport and she puts up with us. Thanks for coming on the show, Tracey.
Thanks, you guys. I miss y'all.
And Drew, kidding aside, it's great getting to get together with you every other week. And Mike,
I love you, buddy.
Fantastic having you on the show as well. And until next time, oh wait, I forgot. What's our ending on this show?
Cheers!
Changing it. No, we're not saying that. Under no circumstances are we ever going to say that on this program. Stop it!
You
Stop
just did,
it!
I think.
He did it twice. I said.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what?
He did.
Okay,
I
here it is.
poop.
Where is it?
He's testing
Okay.
it.
Everybody, until next time, this is the East Coast Horror Group, and we're saying,
I can't wait to fuck your feet.
that's right.
Sure are.
Let's do that one more time.
Ugh.
On video.
Dude, I'd rather see Rich naked than give a bunch of jizz-tipped flutes to kids.
There you are, everybody.
Oh, that's true, though. I mean, it's true.
Ugh.
This has been the East Coast Horror Group.
East Coast Horror Group.
Such an odd sound.
It definitely is.
I can't believe he said that.
It was. Well, I'm not explaining myself to you.
I don't know. Like, why would you say it?
I can't wait to fuck your feet.
You know what my other favorite is, Drew? This is my absolute favorite, though.
My name's Mike Exler, and I like to slaughter kittens.
And
That
speaking of
that
Mike,
was obviously Mike Exler.
speaking of Mike,
Yeah,
this
obviously.
is my favorite Mike cut.
Yes, my name's Mike Exler.
Baby down a little tiny well.
Why is the well so tiny? Throw him down a normal-sized well.
I
dude.
love that one. That's my favorite.
That
Thanks
was
everybody for coming out. I don't know why you're still here, but we're glad you are. Have a great evening, everybody. Stay safe, and remember to see a lot of horror movies.